Hi, my name is Miriam Schwartz. I used to be a Long Island NCSY advisor many years ago, and now I live in Israel. I'm speaking to you from outside of my garden here in Ramat Beit Shemesh, which, as you can tell, is like a little bit overgrown because this year is Shemitah and we really can't do that much to it. But it is exciting to be able to keep a mitzvah that I never kept before. This week's Parsha is Parshat Shlach. It's interesting that this is the Parsha that I have to speak about, and I live here in Israel. Why? Parshat Shlach tells a story of the 12 spies that Moshe sent to check out the lands of Israel while the Jews were in the desert. The purpose of sending spies was because, in general, when you go to war, you want to know what you're up against. And even though Hashem was on the Jewish people's side, it would be good reassurance for the Jewish people to hear that they could handle it, that they'd be able to conquer the land. The spies go and come back and don't do that at all. They actually say that the land was great, flowing with milk and honey, great big cities, excellent fruit, but that it's impossible and the Jews won't be able to do it. They won't be able to win the war and conquer Israel. Only two of the spies, Caleb and Yehoshua, say that truthfully we can do it. Alumni, we can go up and we can win the war. What happens is that the Jewish people burst out crying and are so upset and are nervous about entering the land of Israel. It's interesting, what did the spies do? The Torah tells us, Vayotziu dibat haaretz. They spoke bad about the land of Israel. The Ramban, Nachmanides, tells us, what did they do? They lied. They made up things. They didn't think it was manageable, so they exaggerated all the bad aspects. And not only that, they went house to house on a PR campaign with negative propaganda just to get the Jews all riled up. Caleb and Yehoshua didn't have the strength and the manpower, just the two of them. The Ramban even goes so far, Nachmanides even says that what did they do? They even threw some truth into it. Yes, it is a land flowing with milk and honey. Yes, it is a very special place, but. And why did they do that? The Ramban says that every time anyone lies, a lie is always more believable if there are elements of truth in it. And the spies, the Meraglim, knew that, and that's exactly what they did. The Jewish people are crying and crying, and the Torah tells us that that night they let out a very big cry. What does the Gemara tell us? And Rashi quotes it not here, but in Tehillim, actually, the Gemara in Ta'anit tells us that Hashem said, you cried for no reason, atem bechitem bechiyah shel chinam, so I'm going to give you a reason to cry. This day that this happened was Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which has since then become the worst day in Jewish history. Many, many difficult and horrible things happened to the Jewish people, and first and foremost, the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Till this day, it is a day of mourning, Tisha B'Av. It is the saddest day in our calendar. And the beginning and the original point of this all was with the spies back then. The Jews also at this time get punished. None of them are allowed to go into the land, none of the Jews of that generation, and they all died in the desert. This is a very, very difficult story, very, very upsetting. And living here in Israel, hearing these things about the land of Israel is hard to take because the truth of the matter is, Alon Na'aleh, we could go up just like Caleb and Yehoshua said. And what do we learn from this? What's the purpose of all of this? Rabbi Teichtel, who was a rabbi during the time of World War II and was in fact murdered by the Nazis, what did he write in his book, Ein Habanim Smecha, which was a book that he wrote all about returning to Israel and love of the lands of Israel? He wrote that what the spies did was really create this negative PR campaign. And when you do a sin, the only way to make up for the sin is to do the opposite. In this case, it means creating a good PR campaign, advocating for Israel, speaking out on Israel's behalf. Rabbi Tachtel says that to make up for the sins of the spies, that's what all of us have to do. There are always things that you can find fault with. But our job today, and what I'd like to encourage you to do, and myself as well, is to speak well about the country. If someone's going to Israel, that's exciting. Spending time here, even if Aliyah is not something that's available to you now or ever, giving money to the land of Israel, advocating for the country. Because Tovah Ha'aretzi, the land is very good. This way, we can make up for the sins of the spies. This way, we can rectify their issue. And that hopefully Tisha B'Av, a night of crying and bad, can then become a Yom Simcha and a holiday when we do see the Beit HaMikdash rebuilt.